Alright, let's get straight to the story that's got both Washington and Moscow buzzing. President Donald Trump just broke with decades of tradition by telling the world exactly where the U.S. has moved some of its most powerful and most secret nuclear submarines. And he did it on purpose. Let's break down why this matters, what it means for Russia, and what's really at stake here. So here's what happened. On August 5th, President Trump announced that U.S. nuclear-powered submarines were being repositioned to appropriate regions as a direct warning to Russia. This was in response to some pretty fiery nuclear threats coming from Dmitry Medvedev, Russia's former president and now Security Council deputy chairman. Now usually, submarine movements, especially when we're talking about the ones that can launch nukes, are kept super secret, like top secret. If you hear about a sub's location, it's usually because something went wrong. But this time, Trump wanted the world to know. He even doubled down, telling reporters that the subs were already in the region, where they should be. Naturally, defense experts were quick to weigh in. Some called the move unusual, atypical, even clever. Why? Well, the real power of these submarines is that nobody ever knows exactly where they are. By making this announcement, Trump is playing a little psychological chess, keeping everyone guessing, generating headlines, and sending a not-so-subtle message to Moscow. Gene Moran, a former Navy captain, described it perfectly. He said that by aligning what might be a routine military rotation with a big public announcement, Trump gets maximum impact with zero extra cost. In other words, it's all about the optics. Vice Admiral Mike Connor, who used to command U.S. submarine forces, called Trump's move a gentle message, basically a reminder that America's subs have been quietly patrolling the world for over 60 years. Mark Kansian, a senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, added that it doesn't look like any new submarines were sent out. Most likely, 2 of the dozen or so already deployed were simply moved around. The announcement didn't change the military situation, it changed the perception. So, what's the real goal here? Experts agree. It's not about launching missiles or escalating the war, it's about messaging. Putting pressure on Russia to come to the table on Ukraine and pushing back against their repeated threats to go nuclear. Brian Clark from the Hudson Institute said this puts Russian leadership on notice. The U.S. can hold vital Russian targets at risk if Moscow tries anything extreme. Let's be real. The odds of these subs actually launching a cruise missile attack are pretty much zero. For one thing, those missiles would have to fly over NATO countries to hit Russia. This is way more about showing capabilities than using them. It's also a sign that Trump is frustrated with the stalemate over Ukraine. And don't be surprised if Russia fires back with its own show of force. That's what happened last year when Russia moved ships near Cuba, and the U.S. responded by surfacing a sub in Guantanamo Bay. But there are risks. This kind of high-profile signaling can easily be misunderstood, especially when submarine movements are involved. For now though, it's classic Trump. Direct, bold, and not at all concerned with sticking to the old playbook. So, will this nudge Russia to negotiate? Or just kick off another round of military posturing? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the cat and mouse games under the sea aren't staying secret anymore.